Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's dive right into your reading, see what's going on, see what messages there are for Pisces. What does Pisces need to know? What does Pisces need to know right now? All right, for Pisces. For Pisces, please, Spirit. Wow, Pisces, you have gotten something about listening, recently. Oh, you guys, I have the worst. I don't remember things. I just remember feelings. And when this came out, ears wide open, it gave me like listening through the heart space or something. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, or could have been a week ago. Like, it all kind of is the same to me. So I definitely think that you have communication coming in, and there is a heavy emphasis on listening, really listening. It was pretty incredible. I was watching a conversation between two people that I was with, and I literally was watching a miscommunication happen. I could see one person saying one thing, and I could see the other person responding in a way that let me know that they were not hearing what the other person was saying. And it was something very simple. We were just making plans for a later date, and it was really interesting, and the conversation was happening so quickly that like me interjecting would have only like made it even more confusing, I felt. So I sort of let the thing play out, and then at the end I said, just to be clear, this is what we're doing, right? And that's when the miscommunication, that's when it all kind of came to light of like, oh, now what you're saying makes sense, and then we had that moment. And so it is giving me that kind of energy of, I don't want to say that the person listening wasn't hearing, and I don't want to say that the person that was speaking wasn't doing a good job, because obviously I understood. But I do think sometimes when we have an idea in our head, or if we have already said, something, it's hard for me to say, but it's just, sometimes, especially when our emotions have been involved is what it's giving me. And there is a emotional tone or quality to what is being said. Sometimes we shut down. I always refer to it as not getting enough oxygen to the brain, because that's how it feels to me when it happens to me. It's just sort of like I'm not fully taking it in. I'm sort of guarding myself against someone saying something that's going to hurt me, at the same time that I'm trying to listen to the messaging. And especially when, I was going to say when our pride is on the line, then I was going to say when our emotions are on the line, when anything that is important to us is on the line, or it feels like it, is being seen, or is vulnerable, or is, potentially going to be impacted by what is said, we can get kind of protective of ourselves. And, the card that I'm recalling, it was something about listening through the heart space. And this card is ears wide open. And, it is just so important to breathe in those moments, because, you don't just want to hear what someone is saying. You want to hear what they're not saying. You want to be fully present, so that when you go to process it, when you go to think about it, you have it accurately, in your mind. When you kind of shut down because your feelings are on the line, or you're feeling vulnerable, you aren't getting the whole thing, and your retention isn't going to be as great. So this feels like something that's been building. You know, it feels kind of like a crescendo. You have this like grand symphony card next to it, and you have great big love. And you know, when we are dealing with big loves in our life, like a soulmate or someone who's hurt us, or, you know, it's interesting. It's really interesting because it's even giving me like, you know, when things kind of fall apart in a relationship, sometimes, you know, we take it so personally, or we, you know, it hurts so much that, you know, and we feel it in the way of personal rejection, but it could have nothing to do with you. It could have everything to do with circumstances. It could have everything to do with how this person is feeling about themselves. You know, there's definitely someone coming through here to have some kind of conversation and to, I feel like, explain themselves. And I feel like the universe really just wants you to be receptive. And not in a way of like you're going to accept whatever someone says, but in a way of like that you're fully present and able to really hear. You know, I say this on this channel, or I guess I haven't said it in a while, or it just feels like it. My yoga teacher always says, just this moment, just this breath. You know, when we start letting in old feelings or remembrances of the time this person hurt us and stuff, you know, we get further and further away from where we really want to be. We want to be like loving awareness. We want to be fully present. And I always find that even if I have to kind of mentally tell myself, just this moment, just this breath, I am able to stay in the moment, and I'm able to remember to breathe. And that's really all that matters. It's the only moment we can do anything with. The past isn't relevant here. The future hasn't happened yet. So staying fully present in this moment, in this breath, it's just your best bet. So I don't know. I hope that helps for some of you that may be going through this. But I do feel that someone is finally kind of stepping into their power, or someone is finally ready to kind of take control of a situation, or to potentially even express how they feel. I just sort of get the party started. I don't know what that means. But, and then you have great and full on the bottom, which is just, you know, abundance, contentment, a really wonderful, satiated feeling. And it is possible here, I feel like, Pisces. Even if, I am getting this, like, even if you don't get back together with this person, or even if, you know, this doesn't turn out to really go somewhere, the healing that's available, or the explanation, you know, finally hearing it, finally knowing it, finally, you know, being able to put something to bed, it really feels like a really super positive experience, you know? So like, I think it's best to, you know, always not have any expectations of anything, but I do feel like if you're doing your best and they're doing their best, you know, good things are gonna happen, right? So let's see. All right, so Pisces, you have the thought of you with someone else drives me crazy. I've definitely picked up on that lately in a lot of readings, of like someone feeling like they have to act quickly because they cannot stand the idea of, you know, missing their opportunity. You have, I'm sorry for judging you and hurting your feelings. Also, let me just say that one of these cards, all of these cards, some of these cards, you know, only take what resonates, only take what's relevant to you. You don't have to take every single card. It's a general reading. Letting you down was the worst decision I made. I have to be in contact with you again. I miss you too much. I wish I could take back the hurtful things I said. It was wrong to take my frustration out on you. The distance between us is killing me. I long to hear your beautiful voice again. So, you know, definitely this paints a picture of someone who really made a mistake. I've said this, it's a Khalil Gibran quote on this channel before, I know. I hope you guys don't get tired of hearing the same quotes over and over, but at the same time, it's like they're always relevant. And this one is Khalil Gibran, you know, between that which is said and not meant, and meant and not said, much of love is lost. And it feels like someone said some things that they didn't mean. I think that, you know, this probably was a self-defense mechanism, and it probably really didn't have anything to do with you. I am, though, specifically really getting a feeling of someone hurting you. You know, someone, it almost feels like an attack, or, you know, here I was thinking all these wonderful things about this person, and they were over there thinking these terrible things about me, or, you know, whatever, they were judging me, or, you know, whatever. Sometimes I feel like those things happen because it actually makes it, in some ways, and I you know, kind of easier to move on, because it's like, well, you know, I don't want to deal with someone who's going to be judging me. You know, I don't want to be, you know, it sort of shows you, it sort of takes the rose-colored glasses off, and it shows you very soberingly, you know, that this person really isn't perfect. They're human, and they're flawed, and they judge, and they, you know, say things they don't mean, and, you know what I mean, to kind of help you navigate the space without just being absolutely lovesick and wounded and hurt, you know, to have something to say, well, they weren't perfect, and it wasn't perfect, and, you know, I don't want to be with someone who's like this. It gives you something to focus on to help you to detach from the situation. I do feel like this person, they do definitely regret the way things were left between you, and they do really, they want to reach out. I think that they do feel the distance between you, whether it's, you know, physical, mental, emotional time passing. You know, they're feeling, it feels like this is imminent, like I've got to do this now. And you know, I do think that someone is going to apologize to you. I think that they may even bring up what they said. I can imagine that this would be very hurtful for some of you. Wow. Okay. So you have realizations. You have this bluff with a mask on. You have boundaries with soulmates. And you have memories. On the bottom of the deck, you have heart fog. You know, Pisces, I honestly feel like you were dealing with someone who really, I feel like they had some pretty blocked emotions. I feel like they, when it came to feelings, they were pretty confused. I feel like, you know, anytime they felt like they were losing control to their emotions, they were someone who may have really blocked up or really, you know, gotten defensive or really put up a, you know, a boundary is a healthy thing. This feels like a blockage, you know. I feel like they were someone who, you have this bluff here, which is just giving me, you know, someone who says something that they don't really mean, you know. And they're wearing a mask, you know, they're not really being authentic. I think they're afraid to be authentic. They may have really felt like they were kind of free falling into some feelings or into some emotions or into a space that they were just not comfortable with, not planning on. And so they shut down, they kind of put up their defenses and put up their blockages and, you know, to just try to stay safe, really. And I think that they are having a realization about this. They are, how do I even want to say this? It's not even that they're having a realization about, you know, what they did or what they said. You know, it's one of those things where I almost feel like down deep they always knew that it wasn't really in alignment with how they felt or what they thought. But the realization feels more about the future. It feels more about kind of like, I have never felt this way about another person, and I may never find someone that I feel this way about in the future. And maybe I'm not handling this right, or maybe I'm, you know, I'm really messing up. I'm even getting like, for some of you, a lot of time may have already passed. Like, this person may have been very stubborn in kind of admitting or acknowledging or allowing themselves to feel or understand like kind of the impact of what they had done. I think, Pisces, you had to get really strong with this person where you just were like, I am not going back. I'm not talking to this person. I'm not opening myself up to this person. I'm not chasing this person. I'm not sending a text message. I'm just not doing it. And it hurt. I feel the energy of just that even hurting, because it's like, I really don't want to do that. This person, though, they think about this relationship, they think about what happened here quite a bit. They reminisce quite a bit. And it's kind of, it's an energy, like what I get is like the energy of loving to remember those memories, like how good they were, how happy they were, those kind of things. But then, you know, the fact that they know they messed it up, or the fact that they don't have access to it anymore to create new memories. And they don't know if you are creating new memories with someone else. Wow. I mean, damn, you know, you have the Ace of Wands, the Queen of Cups with the Empress, and the Queen of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. You know, to this person, you have it all. You represent it all. You know, there is this really nurturing, stable, solid, secure feeling. Like, this is the type of person that you settle down with, because they're solid, they're stable, they know who they are, they value themselves. You know, with this crown over the heart chakra in this card, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you know, it's giving me this vibe of like, you know, there are particular people in this world that when they love you, it feels extra special, you know, because they don't love everyone. You know, they don't have those feelings or those kinds of attachments, or maybe they just don't even let everyone in. You know, they are whole on their own. So if they let you in, you know, I have a friend who's, he's a tattoo artist, and he's like real rough on the outside, but he is just the most tender, loving person on the inside. He really cares a lot. He has a lot of feelings, and he's just so sweet. And once he told me, you know, you're like the closest thing I have to a sister. And I'm telling you, it meant everything to me, because he's just not one of those people that lets people in, or that says things like that, or even feels a need to say things like that, or, he's not a people pleaser, that's for damn sure. But, and it's like being held in your heart space to this person, it feels like it was like kind of an extra special reward, or like it made them feel like a king, or maybe even a king of pentacles. We have a lot of different sides inside of us that other people bring out. Some of them are really great and some of them are not. And it too feels like you make this person feel really great. With this Empress, for some of you, I feel like this person can see you as the mother of their children, or they have thought of that, or if not the mother of their children, they've thought about having children with you. This person wants this. They want a new opportunity for a multitude of reasons. But if I had to sum it up, I would say it's mainly, there's no one else like you. There's no one else that offers so much. Hang on, you guys. I see my neighbor walking up. Let me just run out and grab this book. So sorry. I knew if I let her get all the way up to my house, my dogs would go nuts, and I didn't want you to have to live through that. So here we go. I really feel like it hits different to be loved by you. And it's not something that can really be replicated. Yeah, you know, I feel, wow. You know, I feel there's just this energy of even in the separation, in the time where the suffering has happened, or where there's been this ending, I feel like this person, their want for this has only grown. You have the Ace of Wands and the King of Wands. And this can at times talk about like an actual physical attraction, or, you know, an intense physical chemistry. And that could definitely be the case. But it's feeling like absence has definitely made the heart grow fonder here. And it's only kind of put things in perspective even more for this person about, you know, how it feels to be important to you. Wow. Three of Pentacles. Wow. You have the Three of Pentacles, the Lovers, and the Wheel. And then you have the World on the bottom. You have the Three of Swords coming out again with the Nine of Earth. This is like, you know, Pisces, you may have had a little bit of a glow up after this, but this can also be just acting with self-respect, like not chasing this person, not, you know, giving, you know, how do I want to say it? Like making accommodations so that they felt comfortable, or that they could sort of not give you what you need and you could give them, you know, but you could be there for them. It's kind of like you held your ground, you knew your worth and your value. And, you know, she's holding this cup of tea, she's out in the garden. You know, you may have been sad, but I feel like you didn't really let this person see the way that it was affecting you. And it's like, it's even giving this person, you know, more respect or more admiration, or more like, oh man, you know, you're rare kind of energy. Because you do know your worth and you know your value, and you have kind of, it's like you're not going to let, even if something hurts, even if it causes your suffering, you're not going to let it just sort of destroy your whole life or run you off the road. You maintain a place of peace. You maintain a place of calm. In fact, you know, for some of you, you may have even had to break things off with this person in order to maintain your sense of peace. And there is even like the acknowledgement that that wouldn't have been an easy thing to do. You know, it's not, it's very hard to walk away from things that you love, or people that you love, or connections that you love, just because, if you keep it around, it will be a challenge to your peace. You know what I mean? Let me arrange these differently so we can see them better. And I feel like there's just this additional respect that happens here with this energy. It's kind of, you know, this person may have fallen apart a little bit at the end. They may have taken you for granted, or they may have, you know, said things that they didn't mean or whatever. And you may have been like, oh, okay, good to know, and kind of walked away and maintained your sense of self. I don't know. You know, it's going to be different for everyone. This is a general reading, but all it has done with this person is reaffirm to this person how stable you are, how secure you are, how solid you are, how much you really do know your worth and your value, and that, you know, you've earned every little bit of it. You know, you're not kind of trying to prove yourself to anyone. You're not trying to, you don't let situations make you feel like you should be something that you're not. You just sort of take it in stride. And I feel like this person is looking at you and going, oh my gosh, you know, that's the kind of person you want to build with. That's the kind of person you want to share a vision with. That's the kind of person you want to share a plan with. That's the kind of person that, you know, you can actually create something really solid and stable to grow from with, you know? And you've got the Lovers and the Wheel here. And I think this is kind of saying, you know, if this person had the opportunity to make the same choice over again, they would make a different one. They're in a different place in their life. You have the World and the Wheel. This is someone who's closing out like a major cycle in their life, and it's really changing their attitude or even their actions towards certain things. It's affecting the choices that they make. Wow. You know, I think this person felt like they just couldn't be sure before. You know, you have 3 Pentacles cards here. And so this can be someone who lives their life with like a lot of intention. They may go very slowly because they don't want to make a mistake, or because they only invest in worthy causes. Like they don't want to kind of invest in something and then find out that it isn't what they thought it was. This feels even like possibly a recent lesson for this person, or, you know, recent to the time that this happened between you, where they, you know, they may have either invested in one person and felt like the person they ended up with was very different than who they thought they were getting, or it could be a repeated pattern. But, you know, I think this person was, you know, sometimes when you have an experience like that, or when you're sort of coming from that space, you can overanalyze and overthink things to death. You know, you can read between the lines. You can say, maybe, what if, da-da-da, la-la-la, you know? And people are always going to find what they're looking for. So if you're looking for proof that someone isn't reliable, you're going to find it, you know? And so I do feel like this person, you have this Heart Fog card, and then you have the 2 of Pentacles in reverse here, which is clarifying this energy of what I was saying, where it's like this person really has discovered that you are someone who is solid and stable, someone who they would want to make decisions with and build with, you know, because you are reliable. And, you know, it may be that, like, this person thought you were going to go cuckoo crazy when you broke up or something, or that you were going to send them really long text messages, or that you were going to chase them. And, you know, maybe you did here or there, or once or twice or something, but overall, I think you gave this person the impression, for who I'm reading for today, you gave this person the impression that you are secure and that you're going to keep on going, and that you don't need to get revenge. You don't need to, I don't know, you know, you don't need anything, you know? And I think that was really surprising to this person. And sometimes it's like, you know, it does take that, you know, that kind of, you know, this person shutting down, putting up their defenses, you know, holding back, not opening up to you emotionally, but just kind of shutting down and kind of having their scarcity mindset and putting up their defenses and protecting themselves and making a bad decision that they end up regretting from their back foot, because they're in a space where, you know, they're kind of looking at things wrong. I'm no judgment or anything, but it does feel like this person's looking at this connection through the eyes of someone who has dealt with people who were a bit toxic, And so they were looking for the evidence that this was toxic instead of really giving it a fair chance or a fair shot or letting it start in neutral. You know, it's like you had to dig out of a hole before you could even get going. And, you know, I feel like this person was being deliberate and they were being intentional because they didn't want to have that happen again, which is completely understandable. And maybe there was no other way for this person to really wake up to realize that you really are someone solid and stable, and that you're not going to go off the deep end, you know, in life. You're not going to contribute to their instability. That you are exactly as you present yourself, kind of. But it does feel like in this absence, they saw something that they needed to see. And the memories, the nostalgia, the just kind of looking back on it, just the feeling of like missing you. I feel like it has really, really, really transformed or changed how they feel and what they want or what they can even see as a future here. Yeah. I mean, seriously, you guys. I really feel like this person's coming forward to communicate. I mean, it keeps coming out, and I feel like this has been coming out for days now in a row of a really, really, really strong communication energy. We are closing out Mercury retrograde. We're in the post-shadow period, but you know, technically we are still in the energy, but it technically is over. You have the Chariot, the Hangman, the Hierophant, and the Knight of Wands. You also have the Knight of Air on the bottom of the deck. For some of you, this person may feel like there is competition and they need to get there first. And they need to come in hot and serious. You know, because they need to be, you know, the Knight of Air and the Knight of Fire are very fast moving energies. So, you know, if this is competition, or if this person does feel like there is competition, I think they're looking for some kind of strategy where they're coming in really hot and really like charming, but very serious, you know, with a lot of weight behind it. You know, in this time apart, definitely with the Hangman and the Chariot and the Hierophant here, you know, it has become really clear to this person that you are the person that you settle down with. You are the person that you commit to. You are the person that you hold on to. You are the person that can match them stride for stride in life, that can, you know, balance them out. You know, this is a connection that is based on a lot more than attraction, or a lot more than this fleeting moment in time. With the Emperor, this connection, I feel like, is causing this person to step into their true power. Some of you may be dealing with an Aries, a Taurus, a Cancer, another Pisces, or you have Gemini as well. You also have all the fixed signs. But it's, you know, there are, you know, I forget, there's like a quote, and it's like, does the time make the man, or does the man make the time? Or I don't know. But it's kind of like, this is this moment in time for this person to, you know, step up, or to sort of succumb, you know, to the past and to all this past energy. And I think Pisces, it's like they're really looking at you, and they're really looking at your own stability and your own strength and the opportunity that they have. And I feel like they want to heed the call. You know, whether or not you give them a chance is another thing, but I think they really want to take this chance. You know, another thing that could be also happening here with that Nine of Pentacles is not only are they seeing you as solid and stable, but they may be realizing that a lot of other people are also attracted to you. Whether they're acting on it or not. You do have 3 knights, and when you have multiple knights in your reading, it is a sign that like more than one person may be coming towards you. I feel like this person knows it's their move, and they need to do something. You know, it's them that has to come through here. Absolutely. So you have the Six of Wands clarifying the Chariot, the Hangman, the Hierophant, and the Knight of Wands, which is this person is really looking to come in a way in which you can recognize the seriousness of their energy. You know, and they may be coming in hot and heavy and charming and passionate and trying to kind of sweep you off your feet. But they're really looking to have true success by what's backing that up. You know, by what they're really showing up ready to offer. You know, someone who has thought about this, someone who has seen it from a different perspective, someone who is, you know, ready to commit, and someone who does see you as a lifelong partner. You know, they may have, I'm getting kind of an unfair advantage over someone new coming into your life, because you do know, like, that they know what your expectations are or what is required for them to, you know, be in a connection with you, or for you to take them seriously in that way. With the Three of Wands and the Emperor, this is someone who is really employing a strategy. They have really planned this out. They have really thought about this. They have really looked at their future, and they are, you know, this is as sure as you can be. This is like, you know, I've really put a lot of thought into this, and I'm really quite serious, and I'm even putting my money where my mouth is. Like, I've stepped into a much higher level power within myself, or I've stepped into a much more serious person. Like, I want you to see me as having taken time to think this through. This isn't a reactionary move. This is something that I put a lot of thought into, and that I have even evolved and changed myself to become ready for, you know, to be able to make this move and back it up. And then you have the Ace of Cups, you know, on the bottom of the deck. I mean, this person, I feel like they're offering you a new beginning in love. They're offering you a new experience, a new chance here at love. All right, let's get some messages, shall we? I feel like this person is closing the distance. I feel like, you know, we're all on different timelines, but this feels very close. I would say in the next 3 months would be like the longest. I feel like for a lot of you, it's imminent. If you are dealing with a water sign, you have be patient with me, please. I am overthinking everything. I am trying to figure things out. I want your attention. I'm trying to figure things out, and I want your attention. I mean, those two energies are right there. And passion. Okay, if you're dealing with a fire sign, you hit me out of nowhere. I want to be vulnerable with you. Excited. I am working on myself. Stuck, secret, and cold. And then your words speak to me like no others can. Wow, they may have been stuck and not really wanted to tell you, but I think you got through to them anyway if you're dealing with a fire sign. If you're dealing with an earth sign, you have the changes are real. I just need more time. I remember everything you said. Honest. It's hard for me to explain things. You are the only one who truly gets me, and I don't want to let you down. And if you're dealing with an air sign, you have distant. Suddenly, all the songs I hear are about you. I'm overcoming my fears. What we have here, or what we have is soul recognition. My nerves get the best of me sometimes. I regret how I handled things before, and anxious. All right, Pisces, this is what I have for you. I really hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. If it does, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, I send you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.